Alright, so today is July 2nd, 2020, and I'm doing another update on this game. A couple things have changed. Some menu stuff is a little better. If you look into settings, you can go through, like the fonts on these have changed. They've become more consistent. I'm no longer using the old font that I was before. So that's good. Now if we go into start game, so there's one change you can see immediate that I've added. You see at the top underneath the score, there's this meter, and that's a score multiplying meter. And how that works is that if you do that burst attack on someone and then kill that enemy, it actually fills up, and when you fill it past certain thresholds, it multiplies your score, and then over time it degrades, and hitting an enemy who is bursted will stop it for just about a second. The idea is that it will kind of subliminally teach players like what I intend is the use of this feature, is to kind of use it to group up enemies and take them out a lot easier, and by having it function in this way where like, hey, the more I do that, the more multiplier I get, and that's good, and that's going to get my score higher. Hopefully kind of gently kind of guides like the way I think like the strategy of the game should be, like the proper strategy for the game is. And it has a cap at I think 3. Yeah, it'll go to 4 for just a second, but then like it doesn't go past that. And that is mechanically one of the only like major changes I've made. There are some balance changes as well. There are certain bug fixes I've implemented. There was a thing where enemies had no collision on the walls, and I fixed that as well. There was just an error. It didn't matter because they all chased the player, and the player stuck in the area, like he collided with walls. Really make a difference, but it was so weird. There were some enemies that could like dash out. That would always feel weird. So I fixed that. And then the other major change, which you actually can't see right now, is that if you remember before, you'd see this mouse cursor. You'd see like the mouse cursor, and that you would point with the mouse cursor, and that's where you'd be shooting. And when I do this, it goes away. And the reason why is I'm actually playing with a gamepad. I've implemented controller support. Now, it is right now only for X input controllers. So an Xbox 360. This is an Xbox One controller, but you can probably use an Xbox 360 controller and it'll work. That's all that I can get working for now. For PlayStation and like the Switch Pro controller or whatever else you got, it's a bit trickier. It's much easier in Unity. When I did the game in that, and I had controller support, I got it working for PS4 controllers pretty easily. Well, it was a little harder, but here Unreal has something called raw input plugin, which will take just like raw gamepad, like Windows gamepad input, which is what a PS4 controller is, and then you need to map its buttons and its axes to whatever inputs you want it to. So there's a lot of manual setup, and I started getting it working, but I kind of can't get it quite right. I figure most people who are playing with a gamepad probably have an Xbox controller, a 360 controller, an Xbox One controller, and if not, the keyboard controls still work just fine. That's how the game has been so far. But I'm glad that there's some controller support working. Right now, it's like in any twin stick shooter you could imagine. It's left analog stick moves, right aims, and then if you right trigger shoots, and then left trigger will do the push attack. And then on an Xbox One controller, I guess is the hamburger button. The little 3 lines, that's the menu. And then the menus also work with the controller, so I can go in here, I can change my settings, make it look bad. That's not good. We're gonna have to cut that out. Okay, well, we'll edit that out. That's fine. Yeah. That's about all that has changed. I mean, there's some balance updates, but really what I need now is to really continue to make this game better. I need player feedback, and so I have made a Google form for people who are playing this game, or like on the itch.io page, there's a link to it. So you know, if you don't want to like write out a real good comment or write very specific feelings about the game or write a review or whatever, you can fill out that Google form. and that will give me some information on like how you feel about the game, where it can improve, like what things you like, what things you don't like. And so I'm hoping that makes giving feedback a little easier. Like that's the hope, because as it is, I have no way to get feedback. Like, but for now, I have it in a pretty good state where I want people to, or I think people should be able to play it. So that's about all for this update, and thank you for downloading the game and playing it if you do.